Cool. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Team Training Tuesday. I also like to call it Applied NeoLife. Last week, I wasn't here. We were attending a conference. For those of you who are in the family would know that the World Team Conference took place last week, and it was amazing, magnificent. It was a welcome break, and we were totally spoiled. I would highly recommend it for everybody. And so we should build our businesses with those incentives in mind. However, on this particular platform, what I like to do is to unpack issues from perspectives that you might not have considered. And I say that because by training, I am a medical doctor. My name is Ese Zalambasi. I've been a medical doctor for over 35 years now. I've seen a lot. I have seen changes in medical practice as well as the disease profile. But I'm also a big proponent of sticking to the basics. And as long as we understand that in order to build a firm house, a strong house, the foundation has to be super strong, we can never go wrong on that one. So today, I want to talk about NeoLife and specifically ask the question, why NeoLife? I think for those of you who are guests on the call, you must be wondering why we should even ask that question, okay? But the reason I ask that question, and I like to connect dots, is to give greater understanding why NeoLife for over 60 years has focused on a few fundamentals that once you understand and get right for yourself, your health will leap forward and you'll literally be healthier and happier. We have amazing people on the platform right now who do the business side of it with such excellence that I myself look to them to teach me about business. But today we're going to talk about products, and that's why I call it Applied NeoLife. We are going to apply it. So I thought I would start by introducing right up front the Scientific Advisory Board. This actually helps to set this company apart because it isn't just a bunch of people that have decided to use their name so that the company can get some brownie points. No, these are people who research and develop every single thing that we have. Collectively among them, they have lots of years of experience. And this Scientific Advisory Board was started by a gentleman called Dr. Arthur First. You see him here. He was a top toxicologist, top pharmacologist, and a top cancer researcher. In fact, his credentials are to be envied. Perhaps you should Google and have a look at what he did. But he was one of the founders of oral chemotherapy. He did so much research into oral chemotherapy and cancer generally, that a lot of people's lives are owed to him because of his pioneering work. Now, in my particular field of interest and expertise, I spent a lot of years in HIV medicine, and I truly believe that the pioneering work that Dr. Arthur First did led the way to giving us ARVs that we know have also turned around a lot of people's lives. That is something that I personally believe, and I feel I should always say we are blessed, because when Arthur First decided to focus on nutrition. And that's because he declared that, you know, a lot of cancers can be prevented by good nutrition. And so he came across to NeoLife, set up this board of scientists, all of them amazing people in their own right. And now that's where NeoLife is. So what sets them apart again is the fact that they approach nutrition at a cellular level. So let's start by looking at this NeoLife Wellness Pyramid. And over the sessions, we've been through it quite a lot. I think the last session we did before I took a break was the fact that there is an emphasis on physical activity and weight management. So for those of you who are guests, you can ask the person who has invited you whether there is a recording, and you'll see what I mean. But yes, physical activity and weight management is into health. We'll emphasize it the way NeoLife has. And a lot of us never actually thought about it deeply enough until perhaps we came into NeoLife, and now we see how this wellness pyramid fits together. So we should be eating whole grains, fruits and vegetables, some protein, and little, if any, sugar and fat. However, fat is important, and we'll show you the kind of fat that we have, the kind of essential oils that we have. But lifestyle, typical lifestyle pyramid looks something like that. Unfortunately, where at the very tip at the bottom is physical activity. People just sit around all day, and then they wonder they are not as strong as they could be. But that is because we've turned the pyramid on its head, and we're doing way too much processed, mark that word, processed fats and sugars, the wrong kinds of proteins in that they have been denatured by cooking. And then we do little fruits and vegetables and whole grain. That is why we are seeing a lot of challenges, because ideally, when we are newly born and well into our lives, beyond teenager, we should be residing in the energetic zone. Unfortunately, what tends to happen is that we slip down, 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 such that by the age of about 20, maybe even 17 or 15 these days, actually, a lot of people have slipped into the tired, and then by the time they're 40 something, 50 something, they are sick and on chronic medication. Now that is the modern lifestyle. And that's because our cells are no longer getting. I first saw this opportunity a few years ago. I actually went back to my physiology and biochemistry books and corroborated the fact that, yes, indeed, our cell membranes and the membranes of the organelles within the cell needed whole grain oils because it is the same biochemistry. That in itself turned me around. I mean, I didn't need much convincing, but that convinced me that I was with the right company. Up to that point, I had never touched any product, but I'll tell you more of my story later. So what happens is that and NeoLife came up with a solution a long time ago, 1958. This is our flagship product. It's a pioneering product. And it was only recently in the 90s that some people got a Nobel Prize for science for elucidating the cell membrane that NeoLife had done a long, long time ago. Okay, so we are blessed indeed. So one of the things that NeoLife was commissioned to do a while ago, maybe around about the late 80s and early 90s, was to look for a solution to autoimmune disorders. And I'm just going to tell you briefly the history of carotenoid complex and how it came to be. It was released on the market around about 94, but that was after years of research for a solution to autoimmune disorders. Now, I can hear you asking, what are autoimmune disorders? Well, when the immune system reacts to its own tissues, here you are, you're made out of lots of tissues, of which there are cells and all that. And then the immune system suddenly turns against self. That is what an autoimmune disease is, okay? And the cells are taken to be invaders, and that leads to chronic inflammation. So examples of autoimmune diseases are what we see commonly and what we in the medical profession have created a whole career and industry around. Things like diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, the thyroid and all the challenges of the thyroid. IBS, inflammatory bowel disease. You can talk about other issues there, skin, infertility. All those can be lumped together under the umbrella of autoimmunity. So there are literally hundreds of autoimmune diseases. Now, those of you who know me well have heard me say, get to know the person before you become so fascinated and almost paralyzed by the disease that he's got, right? Get to know the person, get to know the individual. And that is what I want to do today, so that you understand that just by sticking to the fundamentals, you might help more people than if you keep on hammering away at disease conditions. Those are labels, and that is me talking in my capacity as a doctor. Okay, so what really triggers autoimmune disorders? Things like toxins, infections, various infections, infestations, allergens, such as allergy or intolerance to gluten. And I'm going to pause there in a few minutes. Gluten is a protein that is found in all grains, and wheat gluten is the most notorious. Mark those words. Then some people are allergic to dairy, eggs, nuts. There is a wide spectrum. There is a wide spectrum of sensitivities. And the key here is to understand that the ultimate responsibility is for one to know how to strengthen their immune system so that the body doesn't turn on itself, okay? So other things like poor diet and stress. So those are the triggers. And I want to look at an example, rheumatoid arthritis. It is associated with allergic responses to foods. It is associated with autoimmunity, the very thing that we are talking about that NeoLife was commissioned to find a solution for, okay? And they did. And infections. And usually it affects several joints. It's accompanied by fatigue and sickness. Now, at this point, I just want to pause and say all diseases happen on a spectrum. It is a spectrum. So what happens in one individual might not necessarily be the same manifestation in another individual. And so you can never say, my uncle suffered from that and therefore it must be exactly what. Well, it will give you clues, granted, but you are a unique individual. So with that bit of background, other common triggers, for example, the example that we are using, rheumatoid arthritis, but it can be any of the hundreds of autoimmune diseases, hormone imbalances. Very key, very, very key. Bacterial overgrowth, heavy metal poisoning, high blood sugar, low-grade viral infections that just simmer on. And you need to understand that viruses live inside cells, and so one can harbor an infection for a long time. Then allergic responses to food, okay? So those are the things that initially initiate disease processes, and then because of our socialization of wanting to label conditions, we miss the whole point. And I'm just hoping that today's discussion will unravel a few things. Things like joint and muscle pain, instead of saying it is a deficiency, that it might be vitamin D deficiency, absolutely. It can be associated in rheumatoid arthritis and all these pains with other things like poor sleep, that's what we call insomnia, depression, fatigue, okay? It might be seasonal affective disorder, where we are entering that now in the Southern Hemisphere, where winter can be a time for all sorts of diseases, including depression. So what I want you to do, all of you, is to learn to listen to your body. Really get to know yourself intimately. And I put it this way, please stop outsourcing your health. Now you're saying, but doc, you are a doctor. It is your job to sort me out. It might be my job because yes, I would love to get paid for it handsomely. But I want you to be well, guys, okay? I really genuinely want you to be well. So let's start with the gut. The gut is very, very important. It's the home of trillions of bacteria. Do you know that you have about 10 times, maybe more, bacteria living in your gut than you have cells in your entire body? Now, if you have about 70 to 100 trillion cells that make you up, the gut microbiome has 5 to 10 times that. So we, as a result, and I bring it up because it's a very important part of you, but because of medical practice and society and the food system and all that, we have successfully destroyed the balance of the gut microbiome. And that is one of the foundations of disease and the foundations of autoimmunity, because good gut bacteria, because they are important, they help with digestion. They produce certain vitamins, such as vitamin K and some of the B vitamins. They also educate the immune system by making fatty acids. Butyrate is a very important fatty acid in the immune system. And all that will protect us against autoimmune diseases. Okay, but then the immune system needs to be in balance all the time and to remain super analyzing what is an infecting organism. So this is a picture that all of you may have seen before, those of you who have seen this presentation. And to the guests, I hope this is useful. This is a cross-section of the gut. And just to illustrate and hopefully to impress upon you the importance of being super careful what you put in your mouth. Now, here is the inside of the gut between the outside world, literally, and your cells. And it is very possible for that healthy gut to quickly become very unhealthy because of the destruction of what we call tight junctions that actually help to discriminate between what is good and what is not, what is a nutrient and therefore useful, and what is a pathogen, a word there, or what is undigested food particles, or what are chemicals that are used to preserve the food that we are buying, or things like that. So let me now rush. I've sort of laid this foundation, but one of the things that you will learn when you associate with NeoLife is the importance of being clear that what you do to your gut is your responsibility. It's not the doctor's responsibility. It's not your parents or your grandparents. It is your responsibility. So if you come to me, for example, I'm a doctor, you have an infection. Before anything, I prescribe you an antibiotic. I personally would be very angry with myself. However, just to let myself off the hook, I've had patients beg me for antibiotics, and I'll try and explain to them that no, that's not what you need, because what you have is a viral infection called the flu. Flus do not respond to antibiotics, okay? So we need to watch our practice as well. So the news flash is this then, that when you take out the bad stuff and put in the good stuff into yourself, you create balance, and your body knows how to create health from those ingredients. So what we are saying here now is that our responsibility is to ensure that we take out the bad stuff and supply the good stuff. Not always easy, and that's where NeoLife comes in. Right, so a little bit of education. Autoimmune diseases. Autoimmunity has been associated with wheat products because there is a disease called celiac disease that happens over time, and it has been associated 10 times more commonly. People with celiac disease tend to have other autoimmune disorders, such as thyroid disorders or gut disorders, or even diabetes. So we need to learn to think out of the box. And that is one big lesson that you will learn with NeoLife. So let me finish quickly. Modern wheat strains are often crossbred with toxic chemicals. Wheat is doused in pesticides, such as destroys the nutritional value. Then obviously celiac disease and gluten sensitivity. Many people are not aware that they have that problem. I'll tell you my story towards the end of this. And then of course, wheat is addictive. Wheat is very, very addictive. That is why people eat it. And then neurotoxic properties, a lot of peripheral, that is I've had this question asked of me on many platforms, that what can I give somebody who has electric shock sensations in the legs and in the hands? That is what we call peripheral neuropathy. Yes, this can be one of the reasons, wheat gluten. And then it spikes blood sugar, leading to weight gain. That's part of my story. When I quit it, I lost weight beautifully. And I don't think I want to look back now. And then it can be disease promoting in that it leads to chronic inflammation and a leaky gut, allowing those particles that I showed you in the previous slide. So we might think that rheumatoid arthritis, or that person is only depressed and therefore is deficient in antidepressants, or that person has, all these things. But it has been shown that gluten sensitivity is a systemic beast in our healthcare system. But do you hear about that? No. Why? Because it is a staple and it is quicker to treat symptoms. But look at how many symptoms they are. Many, 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 many. Until eventually, as the passage of time called aging takes place, then we start seeing liver failure and all those other failures. I'll skip this slide, but it's just to show you something that I discovered for myself. I was very sensitive and intolerant, and as I grew older, by the way, I'm not exactly the youngest of little girls around the block, but my body was telling me, and that is what I'm trying to say, listen to your body. I became intolerant to tomatoes. I used to love tomatoes and potatoes and bell peppers because they're healthy, right? But I discovered that my body was telling me that each time I ate these foods, they're called nightshade, I would bloat, I would become inflamed, I would swell up, from inflammation. So these are a few of the suggestions, and now I'll skip this slide. Avoid things like refined sugar, eliminate the triggers, and we'll talk about supplements. But generally, support your immune system, support your hormonal system, and that's what NeoLife will give you. We advocate good food, and what we have are supplements. And we also advocate as much as possible. So what is inflammation? Now, inflammation is the body's response to infection, to anything that comes to disturb the body. It responds with inflammation. Acutely, it has a role, a very, very important role. So generally, inflammation is characterized by maybe a fever, maybe pain. Maybe the area will swell and it will be uncomfortable, and it might turn a darker color or become red. Okay, that is inflammation. The body responds to infection with inflammation, and it's nature's way of limiting damage from. So what the challenge is that doctors will give anti-inflammatory drugs to remove that inflammatory barrier around the source of inflammation. It's very much like removing the coolant from a power station. And that is something that I battled with for a long time. The body's natural response is then stopped. And in the long run, there has been a recent article that I was reading where in the long run, by constantly using anti-inflammatories, Nabawa, please mute, otherwise I'll have no choice but to put you out. I'm trying to mute you, but I can't. Nabawa, please mute. Okay, so by using anti-inflammatories, you actually interfere with the natural body's response to inflammation, of trying to wall off the spread of the source of inflammation. So eventually it gets underground and it can cause more damage. What we are offered by NeoLife are things that are natural: fish, grain and legume oils that we find in tree NN that I showed up front. And these can perform the twofold function of simultaneously acting as natural anti-inflammatory substances and enhancing immune function. Whereas here, if you stop that response, you are setting the body up for autoimmunity. Okay, so we also get antioxidants to protect the fats that we are taking to do that job. And those antioxidants also boost the immunity. So I want you to understand why Pro Vitality was put together. It's an amazing place to start. It gives the body everything that the body needs. In contrast, pharmaceutical anti-inflammatory drugs tend to suppress immune function. Okay, so I hope that is clear. That is our core nutrition. And there is Pro Vitality. Those tree NN, omega-3, the fish, the fruits and vegetables. And then I'm just now going to rush through this and open up to questions. I didn't want to go too long. Vitamin A and D, very, very important. Chelated CalMag with vitamin D. You'll notice vitamin D should not be forgotten. That is important as managing pain. And ours is unique in that it is double amino chelated to enhance absorption. Something that is non-chelated is very poorly absorbed, but chelation increases absorption. Minerals generally are very badly absorbed. And if the gut is inflamed, absorption becomes even more difficult. So we have double amino chelation pioneered by Dr. Arthur First. And it is less irritating to the stomach and it is absorbed totally. And then magnesium, it's a relatively new product. It is out of food and the beets are very, very good sources of nitric oxide that we talked about recently. Vitamin C, very important. Our skins, our bones, our teeth, our hair need the collagen building material, and vitamin C is central to that, building collagen. It is also an antioxidant. So every single product has a function, and that's what I like about it. Then you as guests might be asking yourself, now you said you are a nutrition company. What do you have? What business do you have even of making soap and cleaning products? Well, my story actually began here. I was looking for good cleaning products. My kids were small. I had seen that they were manifesting childhood situations. And because I'm a doctor that likes to read labels and read packet inserts, I had read a lot of the side effects of, for example, antihistamines or the cortisone creams and things like that. So I had told myself that, no way, I'm not going to give my kids these things. Strange, yes. So I went on a quest. And I started by saying, if I could change the cleaning products in my house, I would be a happy mommy. I would really be, that's all I would give to see my children better. So one day, somebody invited me to look at an opportunity, and I said yes. And the minute I said yes, I saw that this is what I had been looking for a very long time. So I threw out all the old soaps that I had bought. We used to buy once a month, do a major shopping, fill the cupboard. I was totally unhappy, but I knew nothing better. But when these came, I have never looked back, and they have changed my life totally. So that is my story. And I discovered that they were also nutrition supplements. At that stage, I didn't know what I was suffering from. All I knew was that my health wasn't 100%. So when I say I speak from experience, I truly do speak from experience. And as a result, I feel equipped to help people who might want the messages that my body was giving me. I used to get pins and needles, severe pins and needles in my feet and my hands. I didn't realize that it was as a result of the body saying, stop wheat. But when I did stop wheat, and I stopped it in 2018-ish, all the breads, the cakes, the biscuits, all those things, an amazing thing truly happened to me. My body trusted me enough to let go of all the swelling, I thought, oh, well, this is genetic. All my family are overweight and yeah, defensive. It was inflammation. And I recognized it as such. And I also had changed my cleaning products. So I hope this information is useful. I'm now in my 60s, but I am very, very flexible. And I believe I can become even stronger with practice and exercise, and obviously using NeoLife. So thank you for listening to me, but now I would like to open it up for questions and comments and testimonials. I know some people do want to say something, so you're welcome. Okay, Lillian, Nalusiba, and Elvania, you're welcome to talk. Yes, please keep it short. Please, please, please keep it short. The first one to put the hand up is Kaino Shilume. You're welcome, Kaino. Unmute.
Yes, good evening. I'm Kaino from Namibia. I'm a new distributor. I don't have much experience, so I'm still learning. I wanted to ask, you spoke about when you're listening to your body, okay. I just want to find out on the products that you have used for NeoLife. And also the other question is, I want to find out, are there somebody who's in Geneva? Yes, and the person is saying, because apparently she walked to the train terminal. She just went there for work, but her feet are swollen and she feels like she has pins. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe you know it better. Like, yes, last night she even put her foot in hot water. So what products can she use? She's in Geneva, so she was even asking if there's an office there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Or maybe France.
That's what this platform is all about, to conscientize you to knowing that the order of things should be to recognize, then remove the possible offending triggers before you spend all that money on trying to treat symptoms, because that is what regular practice does, okay? Treating the symptoms. So as my story goes, I saw my kids manifesting things. I saw me manifesting things. I saw my husband manifesting various things. And I thought to myself, we need to change something, okay? So I didn't stop to say, what one thing is it going to be? And when I discovered NeoLife, NeoLife gives a total opportunity. And so it becomes a lifestyle. So I'm going to ask Morningstar to add to that, please. Morningstar, Stera Mali. Yeah.
Doctor, good evening. We had someone wanted to ask you a question here.
Okay.
I hope it's okay.
Yes, I thought you wanted to add to testimony. Okay, who wants to ask a question?
Hello, doctor.
Hi there.
I'm Christine. I have H. pylori, and the supplements I've been taking is for vitality, NeoLife shake, and zinc. What else should I take?
Okay, before I answer that, I would want to know a little bit about your dietary habits, your medication that you've had in the past 3 years, what you have done to your gut to disrupt it so much that H. pylori has overgrown. And I also want you to understand why I presented what I presented. And that is to understand that there's no quick fix. You will get benefit, but you first have to understand for yourself what you need to remove that might be triggering. To remove the triggers, and then also to replenish so that your immune system takes over the management of your health. That is the reason for this presentation. You need to understand that your immune system is where the buck stops, okay? And you need to strengthen that and keep it on its toes. So look carefully at what your habits are. Look carefully at your food choices. And then resolve to change. Resolve to change.
Okay.
Okay. So there's no quick fix, but
Thank you,
what you're using currently is good, but just cast the net even and see what could be triggering and listen to your body. Just listen carefully.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Morningstar, asking something else? Okay, next person. I think we are battling with that line.
Oh, no.
Is there anybody else who would like to say something? Okay, Eric Chitio, is your hand up?
Good evening, doctor. Thank you for that fantastic presentation. I'm not in a very nice place, but I had to log in. I have a client who was operated upon due to hydrocele. And I tried to tell him to change his lifestyle, have a positive attitude, and do the basics. Of course, I gave him some products on nutritional products, but he was asking me which specific one should I give, and I was not very sure. So that's why I'm asking if you have any idea or you have experienced any person having the same.
Okay, he did the right thing to have surgery for the hydrocele. That is a treatment of choice. But now he needs to ensure that his healing happens. And to do that, after surgery, there's quite a bit of inflammation that can linger for a long time. And if you remember what I talked about, inflammation, it is the body's response. But if it moves from being acute, like after the surgery, to chronic, then it can be quite irritating, let's say. So he now needs to work on strengthening his immune system. And what we have for immunity is the core nutrition. Pro Vitality gives you the foundation. However, he might want to look at more carotenoid. The optimal is 3 a day. He can go up to more than that. He can take 6 if he wants. He can take 9 if he wants, depending on how much he feels he needs to support his immune system. He needs to build enough collagen. That's where he needs to add vitamin C. Zinc is important. It is a very often deficient mineral, as is selenium. You find selenium in the Pro Vitality, in multi. You find it in multi mineral plus alfalfa. So the point I'm trying to make, and this is the point I've been making all along, these are not medications that you're going to use for a short time and then give up. This is food. This is food. And so once you can reconceptualize the reason for NeoLife, you will never have a challenge. What we will now do is focus on building our businesses so that we can afford the products. Okay, so let me hear from Lillian, please. Musasizi.
Hello, Doctor.
Hi, Lillian.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm asking on behalf of a prospect. They have a client who has a lung cancer and they are getting water in the lungs. So I'm requesting you to suggest a supplements which can assist the mother who has lung cancer.
Okay. Phytonutrients and shake and lots of omega. I would also recommend that they consider detoxification. I don't know how advanced the cancer is. I don't know what else is happening, because cancers have been shown to be associated with a lot of other conditions, such as extreme stress, extreme anger, extreme emotional upheaval. Okay, so that's why I keep on emphasizing that we cannot focus on the disease without knowing the person. I hope that makes sense now. Okay, I would need to know more about that individual and be willing to hear from the individual how willing they are to heal. Okay? And once they have that will to live, it is actually possible. God is our ultimate God. But a lot of us might be sabotaging the efforts to heal by all sorts of attitude and other beliefs, attitude problems and other beliefs. So it's no longer a straight line, guys. And we are multi-dimensional, and diseases are also multifactorial. And that is the thing that I think, have been misled greatly over the years. So let them learn to listen to what the body is saying, and even say, okay, maybe they need to eliminate some things that are no longer serving, such as too much meat, for example. I'll use that as an example. Or too much sugar. Cancer loves sugar. Okay? And learn to say, okay, I'm not going to use sugar. I'm going to go natural. And see what happens. Okay, so Lydia and Sasisi, I hope that's emphasizing to everybody that this is fundamental lifestyle change. Anybody else? Anybody else who has, I think somebody said that, oh yes, Dintle, yes, hi Dintle, nice to see you. Unmute and ask.
Oh, I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the lovely presentation. I just have a testimonial. Oh, baby, come on. I just want to say that I'm still getting to know NeoLife better and trying to get to know my body. Actually, I thought I had eczema, and now eliminating things like sugar, dairy, and remember the other day we actually got sick. We were sick with flu all the time, and Dr. Cesar gave us medication and the supplements, and I saw that that was the main problem. Yes, and the shake we actually even had to buy. And I'm seeing now that the diet was the most important thing. And that's why my skin was actually developing the eczema. So I'm trying to understand that my immune system was compromised, because I'd been asking myself that I grew up without eczema. I never had it, and I've been to dermatologists, and suddenly I have this eczema that I don't know where it comes from. But the source of it was that my immune system has been compromised, and my gut is now leaking, and I'm getting all these funny diseases coming and going. And now I'm actually on the stage of getting back to the roots and building my body up from scratch. And I can say that I even take my 10,000 steps now. So things are getting better. Yeah, my energy is coming back. So it's really helpful. And the shake is delicious as well, I just drink it now and then. And so NeoLife is really life, and it's food. It really is food. So I just want to say to everybody who is in doubt, NeoLife is the best, That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Dintle. Thank you very much. And you see, when I looked at your eczema, you may have missed it because you were so distressed. I said that's actually vitamin C deficiency, among other things. Do you remember that? And I'm so glad that your body, because once you supply, take out the bad stuff, put in the good stuff, your body knows what to do. Literally knows what to do. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, anybody else? We are almost at 8 o'clock. South Africa, 9 o'clock, East Africa. Yes, Clement.
Yes, Doctor, thank you for this presentation. It is fantastic, and it has helped us in our home. I'm asking on behalf of somebody with high blood pressure and maybe has been on different medications from pharmaceutical industries and hasn't been helped. How can you advise that person? Thank you very much.
Okay. of all symptoms that are most vexing, high blood pressure is one of the most difficult symptoms to deal with. And because it is measurable, you know, you have to understand that scientists, that doctors are, love to measure things. And they love to associate their measurements with preferably one or two things that can be controlled, okay? But high blood pressure can be as a result of anything. I've seen it where, because I'm in a white coat and I've got a stethoscope and the person is sitting there, just the white coat on its own will cause the blood pressure to go up a little bit when I measure it. Okay, we call it white coat blood pressure. Because after that, they can go out and get a lay person in a more relaxed setup, measure the blood pressure, and it will be normal, you know. But be that as it may, I don't want to make light of it. He might have kidney disease, that person. He might have so much toxicity. If you remember the webinar that we had on, I mentioned that some heavy metal toxins can actually cause blood pressure to go up, because I'm trying to remember which one it was that I talked about. As a heavy metal, it is preferentially absorbed instead of zinc. And because there is a zinc deficiency, this other heavy metal, I'm trying to remember what I said, I'll go back, it might have been among the arsenic and all that, is absorbed, and that damages blood vessels, okay? Then the aging process causes loss of elasticity of blood vessels, and they become rigid. And then lack of vitamin C cause tears in those blood vessels, which then heal with scar tissue and cause a formerly big blood vessel to become narrower and narrower, and that will push up the blood pressure. Then stress. The older we become, the more stressed we seem to become. Yes, and the adrenals churn out all these stress hormones, adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol, and all that, because we have jobs and we have bosses and we have all the stressors. I mean, tonight, petrol prices go up in South Africa. All of us are totally stressed. We went and topped up our petrol tanks, okay? So all those factors, you can't pinpoint and say just one thing, and therefore I'm going to give it one drug. You can try, and people do try, and people do that. But I have a challenge with that, in that we are treating a symptom and ignoring the disease. And the disease is to get to know the individual and find out what is causing them to be diseased. They're not at ease anymore, and deal with that. And that's where NeoLife is brilliant, because now, instead of saying, let us give this drug to bring the blood pressure down because it is going to reduce the blood volume, we say, repair the blood vessels, remove the scarification with lipotropic, give some garlic, which is going to thin the blood so that it flows through nicely. Give some vitamin E. Yes, please give some shake, because that will rebalance the pressures between the outside of the blood vessels and the inside of the blood vessels. I've seen it. I've actually done these things where just giving a shake rebalances the what we call oncotic pressures, and the blood pressure comes down and the heart failure resolves. And then people because we are so clever as human beings, we prefer to research so to the point of paralysis. You know, we analyze all these things until we become paralyzed. But if I were to say, here are some drugs, an antidepressants, an anti-arthritis pills, they won't even question, they'll just swallow them. But because I'm giving them food, they'll say, really? Are you serious? Are you telling me that I am malnourished? Yes, that's what I'm saying. You are so malnourished that once you put in the right stuff and take away the bad stuff, like all those chemicals that you're buying and washing your clothes in and sleeping in and all that, you haven't even researched it, you just buy it lock, stock and barrel. But now when I tell you, use this product that for over 60 years, they have certified that they have researched it and it is non-toxic, your question. So that's where we are at, and that's where our job is at its most urgent. I hope that answers your question. So make it a lifestyle. A lot of people are now seeing that we need to stop the call because it's gone on for over an hour, but I have a couple that I'm looking at. One is called Janet, but Andrew is hearing me. Janet might not be connected on her audio. Andrew can tell you about this business. So I want that testimony, Andrew, please, if you don't mind, just to reassure people who are listening to this webinar that there is a huge light to look forward to, and we call that getting rid of financial stress. So Andrew, if you don't mind, I want to give you the platform for a few minutes. Andrew? Okay, Andrew has gone mute. Is there anybody who can talk about the financial way of managing high blood pressure by getting rid of the stress, the financial stress? Andrew Mugembe is not talking. Who can I call upon? I need to look and see who else is here. Okay, I saw Grace Rubambe. If you're still on. Grace, are you on? No? I want somebody to give us a testimony for the finances. Andrew, where are you? Can I ask, oh gosh, I'm trying to quickly see who else can give us a testimony. Okay, Charles Mayanja, you're there. You can unmute and just give us how you have earned in this opportunity and therefore how it has helped your stress levels. No? Hey guys, nobody is wanting to say anything. Can you not unmute? Okay. Charles Mayanja, can you give us a bit of a testimony? Golly. Okay, who's got a hand up? Okay, Michael Rogers Kayondo, please give us your testimony. Everybody else, unmute and say something. MRK, can you say something?
Yes. Hello?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, so good evening, everyone. This is Michael Rogers Kayondo in bracket MRK. MRK is the one which makes me money. So I thank God for this opportunity because he has enlightened me. And the people who are on the call, what I can tell you here, it is we get money through sharing this opportunity and also sharing the stories we have about the products. Me, when I commenced, the challenge I had was stomach ulcers. I'm somebody who couldn't take this local food. I couldn't take maktoke, I couldn't take cassava, kosho, like that. But when I used the TNN, aloe vera plus and zinc, I'm now ulcer free. And I've used that opportunity to make money out of it. And I helped so many people. Today, even I'm a consultant. So what I can say is, let's come for knowledge and learn. And in our business, before you earn, you first learn. Yeah, that is it.
Yes.
I know the future is no longer that. So this business, I'm looking forward to help so many people and change their lives. So if I can do it, all of us can do. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, MRK, for coming to my rescue. And Janet, I know all the way from the UK. Can you tell us what this opportunity has done for you, for the sake of the guests? Are you there, Janet? No. Okay. Is Andrew still able to talk to us? No? Okay. Okay. We'll keep with Lillian Musasizi and we'll need to log off. Lillian?
Thank you, Doctor.
Mm.
I'm sorry for taking long to reply. I was a bit scared.
That's okay.
But the opportunity has helped me and my family. First of all, my mother has diabetes. But when I got to know about this opportunity, last year in December, I gave her the products and she felt a difference after 2 years. After 2 weeks, sorry. She's more energetic and she can do her housework easily because of using the products. Despite the fact that she used to go to see her hypertension doctor, but she had no change physically. But now she has a change, and her testimony has helped so many other people who are buying products through me, and it has helped me to earn something to be able to buy her more products. It has also helped my sister to lose some weight. She lost about 8 kilos in 1 month because of products. And that is also helping me to tell her story and to earn something still to get products. Also for my children, their immunity was not good. They would fall sick almost every month, but I managed to get for them some products and their immunity improved. Yes, and I thank God I also have had hormone issues and they also stabilized after taking the products. I've been taking the products for 6 months. Actually, I've been disturbing you, doctor, asking this and that. At first, I didn't want to change my lifestyle. I wanted to continue eating oily stuff, taking sugar, but after getting your advice, I decided to remain on the good food and also to continue taking the products. After 3 months of taking the products, I wanted to see the results very fast because I joined because of fertility. We were trying for a child. So I wanted quick results, but you still advised me to keep taking the products after those 3 months. And six months down the road, I went for a test and it turned out to be positive. So I praise the Lord so much because the doctors had advised me to look for money for IVF, which is very expensive. But I thank the Lord. As I was in that dilemma, the Lord gave me those results through persistent use of NeoLife products.
Well done. Thank you so much. And also, obviously, your decision, your quality decision to change some aspects of your life because you listened to your body. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are at a point in history where we can truly, truly make the world a healthier and happier place. Because there are a lot of people who would love to have what we've got, but they think it is out of their reach. And really it isn't. All we need to do is to share with the next person and the next person. And even if you don't see the reward that day, just to hear a story like what we've just heard now from Lillian. Okay, Lillian had a vision and a dream to have a child. And now, because of her commitment, her discipline, and her perseverance, and obviously throwing in prayer, I could hear that you're a praying girl, a praying woman. All this is coming to reward you. And so why in the world would you keep quiet about it? We need to become super sharers of what is good. So thank you everybody for this. I know it's been a bit different. Next week, I will consider what to prepare. These sessions keep me on my toes. And I just hope that they are useful and making NeoLife and the application of NeoLife meaningful. Thank you all of you for being here. We shall meet again soon.